Ireland's political centre collapses as Sinn Fein soars. That's what we'll be talking about on today's video. We're going to look at precisely why this was a very important election in Ireland and why it may indeed be the beginning of the end of the globalist left wing in Ireland. So stay tuned to find out why. Now, before we do, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's the one and only Bill O'Reilly, former Fox News. Now, Bill has made millions investing over the years, and he wants to share with you his secrets and how he does it. You see, Bill has a passion for spreading freedom as much as possible, and an essential part of that freedom is having the money you need to do what you want, when you want, and to support the people and causes that mean the most to you. So watch the free presentation at wealthwithbill.com. That's wealthwithbill.com, and discover how Bill O'Reilly plans to help you achieve a seven-figure net worth. Lucky participants receive a free hardcover of Bill's new book titled The United States of Trump. So don't wait. Click on that link below. Check out what Bill has in store for you. You'll be glad you did. All right, everyone, let's chat about the Irish elections, shall we? Very interesting stuff. Voters from across Ireland went to the polls on Saturday, a couple of days back, in their national elections. And there was really nothing short of a political earthquake that took place. For decades, Irish politics have been dominated by two major parties, a duopoly, as it were, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. I hope I'm saying those relatively decently. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. And those are your two major centrist parties in Ireland. They're thoroughly globalist, very pro-EU. Really, as I understand, they're just two sides of the same coin. Now, there's a third party that I'm sure you know, Sinn Fein, okay? They've been effectively relativized over the decades to the margins because of their involvement with the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. Again, as I understand it, more or less Sinn Fein is basically the political wing, or was the political wing of the Irish Republican Army. So up until last Saturday, Sinn Fein was little more than a peripheral party, certainly not in the same league as the two centrist parties. But that all changed on Saturday. The centrist parties basically collapsed, and Sinn Fein won the majority of the vote. Now, as we speak, votes are still being counted, and no one won enough votes to form a clear majority, so we have to see how things are going to turn out in terms of coalitions and the like for a functioning government. But there's no question that Sinn Fein has completely overturned Irish political norms. I can't stress enough how unprecedented this was. The two centrist parties dominated Irish politics for a century. That's how significant Saturday's vote was. Now, since the Good Friday Agreement signed back in 1998, Sinn Fein has sought to rebrand their image as actually a left-wing party. You'll hear them referred to often as left-wing nationalist party. That is misleading, as our good friend Rowan over at Gran Torino Ireland channel likes to point out. And by the way, which is an excellent channel. You all should be subscribed to it. But he's put it this way. Just because you're anti-English, right, doesn't necessarily make you an Irish nationalist, okay? Unfortunately, Sinn Fein, again, as I understand it, they're very much for open borders. They're pro-EU, and therefore they have no choice with regard to open borders, right? Since all EU member nations has forfeited their national sovereignty when they joined the EU. That was the central point of dispute between Viktor Orban and Brussels. When Orban said to the European Union, look, we're going to decide, we Hungarians are going to decide our demographic makeup, since taking in refugees involves changing our demographics. We're going to make the decisions as to the extent we're comfortable with these changing demographics and how many refugees we'll bring in. And Brussels responded, no, I'm sorry. That's not at all your decision to make anymore. We make that decision. To which Orban said, but Hungary is a sovereign nation. Sovereign nations get to make their own demographic choices and decisions, to which Brussels said, sorry, no, you are not a sovereign nation. You gave up that sovereignty the moment you joined the EU, to which Orban, of course, said, no, we did not. So needless to say, unless you have a leader like Viktor Orban or Andrzej Duda in Poland or Matteo Salvini in Italy or Nigel Farage in Britain, the bullies in Brussels are most certainly going to dictate who comes into your country. And Sinn Fein is not standing in the way of that. So They may be for United Ireland, but such sentiments are thoroughly in line with complying with EU norms. So Sinn Fein is emphatically not nationalist in the way we think of nationalism here on this channel. They're not the Irish equivalent of Fidesz in Hungary or the League, Lega in Italy, or National Rally in France, or anything like that. So what has basically happened, if I can put it in analogous terms, is that Ireland has rejected the neocon, neo-lib center for more Bernie Sanders-like leftist populism in the form of Sinn Fein. That's basically, as I understand, what happened on Saturday. Now, we have to remember a couple of things on that. We have to remember that Ireland is one of the few nations in Europe that has yet to have a viable nationalist right party. Viable meaning one that's winning elections and promises to be one of the top parties in the nation. Ireland, Iceland, Portugal, although things are moving in Portugal on the Portuguese right, which is pretty interesting. But these are nations that still have yet to really build up a formidable nationalist populist right party. Ireland is beginning to build their nationalist populist movement. That's why I love Rowan's channel, the Gran Torino, so much. That's how I keep up with the grassroots nationalist populist movement in Ireland. So, yes, you're seeing definitely, and I know you know them, the Nationalist Party is rising up there. The Freedom Party of Ireland is rising up there. These are all absolutely wonderful developments. But this is all to say that when a sizable portion of the population wants to reject the globalist center, they really don't have anywhere else but the populist left to go to right now. And so that's why they went to Sinn Fein, at least in part, as I see it. Now, why is this such an important election, and why do I think this may be the beginning of the end for the globalist left wing in Ireland? Stick with me on this, and I'd be curious to find out what you think in the comment section below. I think it's a very interesting thing. There are two overall options when it comes to establishing the nationalist populist right as a dominant force in politics. Okay, so two overall options here for the establishment of the nationalist populist right as a dominant force in politics. The first involves going around the centrist parties that refuse to address the border security, economic security, and cultural security that concerns so many citizens, and then forge new parties. So you got Lega in Italy, National Front in France, UKIP, Brexit Party in Britain, Brothers of Italy as well. So these are bootlegging parties, in effect, that are willing to stand up and defend the national, economic, and cultural concerns of a sizable portion of the population. So that's the first thing. You need the party, the bootlegging party, and then at some point, you have to take out the political center that dominates globalist politics. You have to smash the establishment, as it were. So this option involves two steps. You form a viable third party, and then you take out the center. The second option is for nationalist populists to just take over a centrist party, right? So that's what we've, in effect, seen with Hungary, right, with Viktor Orban's Fidesz, or the Law and Justice Party in Poland, or the New Democracy Party in Greece. These are major parties that have embraced the nationalist populist right. So often that involves creating a nationalist populist third party, which then more or less kind of morphs into and just joins the center-right party. Or here in the case of Donald Trump, just having a charismatic leader come in and take over a party. Trump realized that the vast majority of the Republican rank and file were nationalist populists. And we were voting for Mitt Romney and John McCain and Bob Dole and George W. Bush, but we had to hold our nose when we did it. So this guy, Trump, comes in, declares the Republican Party the new nationalist populist party, and suddenly has 97% support among Republicans. So there are a couple of options. What has happened in Ireland, it appears to me, is that Sinn Fein effectively took care of step two in that first option. They crushed the political center. So that's what happened in Italy with the populist left five-star movement in their last election. And in Greece with the populist left Syriza movement 4 or 5 years back. Or in Germany and Thuringia with the far-left Die Linke party has been so dominant there in Thuringia. The fascinating thing in each of these examples, Italy, Greece, and Germany, What followed after the political center got smashed by the populist left? What followed that? What followed was the eventual rise of the nationalist populist right. Once the populist left smashes the center and overturns the status quo, they seem to do two things. First, they open up opportunities for other third parties to come in, like the newly formed nationalist right parties. And second, we're finding that the populist left always disappoints, largely because their economic solutions are problematic. All the while, they leave the borders completely open. The status quo remains. So the populist left smashes the centrist status quo, but they have yet to show that they can hold on to power for very much longer after that. Greece returned right back to the right after 4 years of Syriza. The AfD, the Alternative for Germany, is the second most popular party, if not the most popular, in Thuringia. And Matteo Salvini and Lega, they're just counting down the days to the next election when they're going to completely blow away Five Star, which has become one of the most unpopular parties in the entire nation. So all of this is to say that Saturday's political earthquake in Ireland may indeed be just the thing needed to see the rise of the Irish nationalist right. Now, before you go, we just uploaded a great video on Nancy Pelosi completely destroying the Democratic Party. Her impeachment circus has taken out their most viable candidate, Joe Biden. And now you even have Democratic voters saying that because she tore up Trump's speech, they'll never vote Democrat again. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.